And today we're looking at a practice paper for the IB, and this is a standard paper as opposed to a really hard one, or even whatever that is. So a store manager wanted to get an idea of how much shoppers were spending. The manager conducted a survey asking shoppers how much they had spent, and the data is shown on the following table. Explain why only an estimate of the mean amount spent by the shoppers can be used in the data of the table, even when the value of S is known. Well, we don't have the original data. And what we do have, so essentially the people between £2 and £5, everyone could have spent closer to 2 or everyone could have spent closer to 5, but we're assuming it's normally distributed between £2 and £5. So £2 and £5 could be at either end of the spectrum. And that's the same for all of those, and so we're just making kind of assumptions about the whole thing. Right, and estimate the mean. The estimate of the mean amount spent by the shoppers is £8.58. So find the value of S. So what we have to do is we have to find the midpoint of each of these. So let's say £8.58 over here. And we have to, so we have to make that 1. We have to make this 2 and 5, so that's £3.50. We have to make this £7.50. I'm not loving the way I'm doing this. We have to make this £15. This is the midpoint. So to find the midpoint, you add the 2 up. So 20 plus 50 is 70. Divide by 2, and that's 35. Okay, so we found the midpoint. Now we times out the midpoint by the number of shoppers. So we do 5 times 1. Let's just do this. I'm going to use brackets even though you don't need to with BidMass, but there we go. £3.50 times 14, I can't do it in my head, it's annoying, plus £7.50 times 20, or even times 20, plus 15 times S, or we'll just write 15S, plus 35 times 3. And that is all over, you add up the shoppers, so it's 20, 34, 39, 42 plus S. I'm assuming S is going to be 8 based on the fact that I survey 50 people if I was going to do this. But there we go, so it's 5 plus 3 times 14 plus 750, well that would be 150, plus 35 times 3, £309 plus, let's just check, £309 plus 15S, and that's over 42 plus S equals 858. So let's just times this out. So we get that times 42 plus S, and that gives us, I'm quite inclined, let me just check, 3.5 times 14 plus 7.5 times 20 plus 5 plus 105 equals, yeah, that's fine. So let's do 858.58 times 42 equals, it's a horrible number. So we've got right now, I don't know how I'm going to fit this in, 360, I'm going to go over here. There we go. Right, so we've got on this side 360.36 plus S equals 309.15 S. We'll take S off both sides, so we get 14S we'll take 309 from 360.3s, it's a point, whatever that was, it's 51.36, and then we'll divide that by 14, equals 3. This seems a little unlikely. So it's 51 point... it's 8 point... Now hang on. So that's 8.358s. It just seemed a little unlikely there. So on that side, we've got 15 minus 8.58. So that is 6.42. So on this side, we've got 6.42s. I haven't quite woken up today. And now let's do 51.36 divided by 6.42, and that gives us s equals 8. I was going to say, whatever we got there was not going to work. So I think the end of that is do make sure you've timed out everything in your brackets. Don't be quite so sleepy. It was not practical to ask every shopper in the store on a particular day, so the manager stood at the shop exit for an hour and asked some, but not all, of the shoppers how much they spent. Identify the sampling technique he used. Well, it's not stratified. It's not got any, strategy to it either. So I would say this is what's called convenience sampling. It is otherwise known as a little bit useless because only people who are willing to speak to you are going to speak to you. Right, rangers. Oh, this looks like a Voronoi diagram, which is rather fun. Rangers use aerial imagery to help locate big cats in the savannah. This week the plane is not available, so they must use last week's images, which shows the last known locations of 5 male cats. So A was at 1-3, etc. You can see them all on this. There we go. So male cats stick to very rigid territories, keeping their distance from other males to avoid confrontation, because they might lose. Using the image above, rangers draw 3 straight lines to form an incomplete Voronoi diagram. So that means that these lines here are in between, say, C and E, or A and C. They're halfway. Calculate the gradient of the line segment CD. Oh, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be finding out what this is. So what is that going to be? And the answer to that is, let's have a little think. So we know, oops-a-daisy, we know what C and D are, don't we? So C is 5-7. And I can't completely tell from looking at this, so I'm going to do that. And D is 9-9. So to find the gradient, we do 9 minus 7, because that's the Y. So 9, let's do Y2, Y1, X2, X1. And as long as you take the same ones away from the same ones, you're fine. So 9 minus 7 over 9 minus 5 equals 2 over 4, or half. So that's the gradient of the line segment. Find the equation of the line which would complete the Voronoi cell containing site C and give your answer in this format. There we go. So what they're asking us is, you need a line that is halfway between C and D and is perpendicular to it. So that means that we are looking at, let's go back to what we've got already. Let's form an equation of C and D. So it'd be Y equals mx plus C. Let's say Y equals half x plus C. Now, before we go any further, let's find the midpoint for C and D. So the midpoint would be 9 for the x would be 9 plus 5 over 2, and for the y would be 9 plus 7 over 2, so that gives us 14 over 2, which is 7, and 16 over 2, which is 8. There we go. And now we're going to find the perpendicular. So basically we're finding the perpendicular bisector, and the perpendicular would be the negative reciprocal. And then we'll pop in 7 and 8 to find where it crosses C. So that would be 8 equals minus 2 times 7 plus C. So that means 8 equals minus 14 plus C. So C equals 22. So now we've got y equals minus 2x plus 22. And we want to swap everything to that side. So we'll say 2x plus y minus 22 equals 0. And that should tell us what the actual thing is that we're doing. So, perfect. Right, let's try the next one. In the context of the question, explain the significance of the Voronoi cell containing site C. Well, all it is that's the area that Tiger C will roam, and everything within that segment or within that little cell is closer to C, is closer in the cell. The entire area is closer to C than any other letter. That's all that means. Now